On to a team that's a little bit better off, we could say. Defending Super Bowl champion, Kansas City Chiefs, man, going through problems of their own. Obviously, they dealt with, injury. Hollywood Brown is going to be out for the rest of the year. So that was already a big loss for them, at least for the rest of the regular season. A high priority signing that they made this offseason. But then losing their star running back, I think, is probably a little bit more crucial. And you alluded to it earlier. Isaiah Pacheco expected to miss 6 to 8 weeks with a fractured fibula. And it's probably going to be on the long term of that. My guess is that they bring him back slow. He's ready for a Super Bowl run. Mm-hmm. But what to do with the Chiefs running back core now? This is a big problem, Tyler, because there's not a for sure option. Normally with running backs, it's like we know who the next guy up is, and we really don't with this Chiefs running back room. Carson Strong is the name, the priority name, in my opinion. I think you alluded to this as well. You talked about it. Carson Strong, first crack at goal line opportunities is a report out there. This is the guy that kind of has that Isaiah Pacheco, like, we drafted you late. We like you as a player. You perform well during the offseason. But the team also brought in Samaje Perine right before the start of the season, and they designated him with the passing game work. We also have reports of a visit for Kareem Hunt this Tuesday. And then there's also Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who is still on IR, expected to come off on week 5. So there's a lot of options that can be thrown your way. How are you looking at this thing? Who is the one running back you want to have right
now? So if I had to pick somebody, I would personally go with Samaje Perine. And the reason why I would go with Perine is just because this is a team that likes to throw the football. I do think Carson Steele will probably be this team's early down.
Carson Strong again?
Honestly, don't remember.
I think I did. I think I said Carson Strong. I've been doing that all week.
Yeah, we're talking about a pre-show, so he knows it's Carson Steele. So Carson Steele, early down back, and like you said, probably going to be used around the goal line. The problem is that the Chiefs, I don't know what the split is this year, but like in years past, this has been one of the pass happiest teams around the goal line. They throw the ball a lot, and we've seen it with moments, even with Isaiah Pacheco there. Like Isaiah Pacheco this year was an absolute workhorse. But like early with Pacheco, when he started kind of, gaining some traction, we saw with Jerick McKinnon, where Jerick McKinnon was this team's receiving back. So I think that we see something similar, and you see it all the time. Like these veteran players, especially with like a team like Kansas City, is always preferred in like high leverage situations that they don't. You also had Carson Steele, I want to say this past weekend, had a fumble. Like if he's going to be fumbling the football, they're not going to trust a young, inexperienced, undrafted kind of guy compared to the veteran who's been around. So like, and the other thing you mentioned too is you could potentially have Clyde coming back. So like, this is a really tough situation to navigate, but it's also a very important situation to navigate because 8 weeks is a long time. That's a large chunk of the fantasy football season that if one of these guys is able to step up, he could potentially be an RB2 in fantasy football. So for me personally, I'm going to go with Perine. The reason why is it looks like he's this team's preferred pass catching back. I do think he'll be in on those downs. I think he'll be in like the 2-minute style offense. He'll be in there. I wouldn't even be shocked if he's kind of seeing some early down work as well with Carson Strong. And when the team gets down near the goal line, I wouldn't even be shocked if it's kind of split where you do see Carson Strong or Carson Steele see some of that early or goal line work, but also they line up like in shotgun and Samaje Perine standing out there next to Mahomes. They have so many different things that they want to do. So I personally would go with Samaje, but it is like I would want all of them because I think that's just a good offense that you want pieces of.
Somebody's going to pan out, and I think Carson Steele's the one. My bad. I threw that your way. That Carson Strong your way. My bad. I didn't mean to do that.
No, you're good.
Put it in the mental. But Carson Steele is the player that I would want, right? He's the player to me that has the end zone work, but he's risky. And you talked about it, like he came off of the fumble. He's a young player. He has to prove himself more. And I think the one thing that Andy Reid is probably looking for is who can be on the field. 15 to 20 touches. And Samaje Perine is, as the vet, is the one player who's proven, at least in some capacity, that he's able to do that. I think that's why the team goes and gets looks at a Kareem Hunt. That's why I think they're probably hoping that Clyde is ready to rock and roll once he's off IR. And to me, he's a stash. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is a stash because if this thing doesn't pan out, if we see Carson Strong fumbling the ball, if we see Samaje Perine is not able to get yardage, or the team doesn't bring in Kareem Hunt, now I think we see Clyde Edwards-Helaire, at least for 4 to 6 weeks, have the possibility of being an RB3 for your team. So he's the free IR stash right now. I think you can get him for free in your leagues, probably available in most leagues. But Carson Strong is a name I'd want for the short term, because here's the thing. Yeah, he's risky, but if he pans out and he's their goal line back, if he is on the field for 12 to 15 carries, that's baby Isaiah Pacheco. You can count him in as an RB3 flex on a weekly basis. So I like Carson Strong.
How much
I think
would you use, Fab?
Huh?
How much Fab would you spend?
I'm not a big Fab spender, right? But if I needed a running back, I'd be somewhere in like that $10 to $15 range for Carson Strong. For Perine, I'd probably be more on like the $3 to $5 marker. And then I'd be hoping to get really what I'd be hoping to do is get Clyde Edwards-Helaire for $1 or $0, and then hope that, or Kareem Hunt for $1 or $0, and then hope that I can get a win here in the next 2 weeks. Like that's really what I'd be hoping for. What about you? How much would you spend for Perine?
It's tough, man. I would, so personally, I would probably,
I do though, right?
Yeah. Well, like last week, JK was my top ad. And I do look at it kind of the same way with JK, where you could potentially, like, I'd be okay spending like 20% on both these guys, because if one of them is able to step up, like you have a rock solid RB2 for 8 weeks of the season. Yeah. And that's valuable, like in fantasy football. That's incredibly valuable. So, but you could also, take the risk where none of these guys pan out, and it is Clyde. But I'd be trying to get all of them, even Clyde. Like you said, you can just stash him on your IR and see what happens if he does come back, because I think this is more like he was dealing with PTSD. So yeah. We don't that's a tricky situation too. Like maybe he's not ready to come back. I don't know. So, it's a tricky situation, but it's a situation where I would definitely be trying to add one of these guys, because they could be so valuable in fantasy football.
Real quick, as of recording, we don't know if Kareem Hunt has signed with the team. Kareem Hunt is visiting the Chiefs this week. This is a player we've seen in our fantasy lineups, played decent for the Browns last year to end the season, was kind of the red zone guy for a good portion of the second half. We'll be visiting the team, already familiar with the offense, familiar with the team. What about him? Because there's a possibility where they're just like, hey, we want to give a guy 15 touches, and it's neither of these two. Do you think Kareem Hunt still has it? Are you signing? Are you trying to get him in free agency? Like, what's your thoughts on Kareem Hunt?
I mean, I would also be trying to, so what I would do this is, crazies. There's crazies. I'm a crazy. Like I set an alarm for 3 a.m. and I go in there in all my leagues and I look at who's still available. If I wake up and I see Kareem Hunt's available and I missed out on the other two guys, like I would even, if Kareem Hunt gets signed, I would probably put like 5% of my fab on Kareem Hunt. Because I do think there's a chance, like you said, that he's the answer here. Like he's been the guy, even when running backs are dust, which I think that there's a chance that Kareem Hunt is kind of dust, but like Zeke is dust and he's getting the work. Like once again, teams just always fault in these kind of situations to just proven commodities. Like even though they may be at the end of their career, Kareem Hunt has already been in here. They know what to expect with him. He knows probably still this offense still. So I do think he's a guy that, once again, I'd be adding. And if he's available, if I wake up and he's still like a free agent, I would 100% be adding him to the end of my bench as well.
I think it'll definitely depend, because if he signs, you're not getting him for free anymore. You know what I mean? Like he's going to be a player that people want. So,
and there's a chance that we might not know today. So even if we don't know, and he clears, I would be adding him.
Yes, especially if we don't know, I think that's a free clear. If we find out today that Kareem Hunt does get signed, and like I said, this is as of recording, if we find out he gets signed today, that means they saw something that lets them know he's going to be a part of their offense. I don't think that you sign Kareem Hunt for a death move, in my opinion. I think you probably elevate somebody from the practice squad if you feel confident with your two guys ahead of you. If they feel like Kareem Hunt still has it, it could be a guy that gets 12 to 15 touches, maybe in the next week or two. He's a player that I would spend like $10 on. He's a safer name, and if he sticks, he's getting red zone work, he's getting passing game work. We know he's getting it all. So to me, he has the most upside out of any of the Chiefs backs, including Clyde Edwards-Helaire. If he gets signed, he's the one I would want. I would spend $10 to $12 on him.